G'day everyone, welcome to the 7th Classic Supercoach preview. Today we've got Geelong. They may be able to make the finals every year, but can we count on them in our Supercoach finals? Who are we starting with? Who are we hoping to keep in 2022? I hope you enjoyed. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click that like button if you enjoy the video. Helps more people watch them, and we get more Supercoach players in here, which would be really cool. And again, you guys know the structure by now, and if you don't, happily follow along. It's the same structure for every team. Adelaide to Freo has already been done. I'm going to try and make these videos shorter, so fingers crossed I can do so. Let's get straight into their defense, and we're going to kick it off with the best pick for the defense, and that is Tommy Stewart. Now, if you're going to test a player's consistency, I highly recommend, especially if you're looking at an Uber Premium, is take out their highest and their lowest score, and then do their average. If it's somewhat similar, really consistent player. If you take out Tommy's highest and lowest score, he's at 107.8. That is a picture of consistency. He should be a walk-up start. He takes kickouts, uses the ball really well, takes intercept marks, and although he doesn't have the greatest tackle numbers, he doesn't get beaten in one-on-one stoppages. So even if the ball is coming in, he's got a really good chance to get points. He scores in any number of ways. I love the man. Tommy Stewart should be in most Supercoach teams. Massive pod alert here, I know, but when you've got a player that coming into this season only had one score over 100, just one, and then he racks up 4 with 3 scores in the 90s, you've got to take notice. Jack Henry might be Tom Stewart 2.0, so can he score with Tommy in the side? It's hard to say, but his natural progression has been really good, and in a year where people, especially with my previews, are telling me that I'm not giving out enough pods, Jack Henry's definitely one of them. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the competition, and he didn't make my underrated side, which means even I underrated him, which is unbelievable. But I think he plays a pretty similar role to Tommy Stewart, or he can. The question is, does Chris Scott use him correctly? That's the biggest detractor for mine, but geez, I reckon he can up that average pretty handsomely. For the no chance, I've actually seen him in a couple of teams, and I can kind of understand why. I honestly do, but there is no chance Mark Blicavs goes anywhere near my team. He's going to go back to that key back role, which we know that he can score. The problem that we've got is that there are so many good key forwards in the competition, and Mark Blicavs is now their best key back. He needs to focus on stopping the opposition first, which is going to hamper his points, in my opinion. So I'm not going to go with him. I can understand if you're looking for a pod. I think there are better pods available cheaper than the Blitz, but he's going nowhere near my team. And in case no one's told you before, do you know he nearly went to the Olympics on his running? I know. No one else knows that. Come on, Channel 7. So the cash cow, this actually works for the defense and the forward because he's got that DPP, but Sam De Koning, SDK, Geelong need key backs. And when you're a young player who fills a list void that didn't get turfed out like a lot of their youngsters, there needs to be a reason for that. 123k, I don't know whether he plays round 1, but I think he's going to be a popular cash cow option when the year begins. So when you're starting to sell your rookies, maybe your first one's around round 6, round 8, Sam De Konings might be a man you downgrade to. So keep an eye on him, keep him in the black book. Might not be a round 1 starter, but could definitely get a go in a lot of Supercoach teams this year. This man will forever be a pod because he doesn't get the respect that he deserves, but Cam Guthrie is the best pick for the midfield, and if it wasn't for his injury-affected 40 against Essendon, he would have averaged 117.16. That's nuts. Averaged 124 in the first month. And even though that there's a certain forward that I'm going to talk about that's coming back into the team, they have 2 midfielders, Dangerfield and Selwood, that are going to have role changes. Selwood can't be around the ball as much. Dangerfield needs to play more forward, kind of like Nat 5. So Guthrie scoring shouldn't go down. On paper, it shouldn't go down. So if you find that a lot of your mates have got your Walshes, your Merritts, your Bontempellis, and you want to stand out for a pod, can't go wrong with Cam Guthrie, in my opinion. To the watch list now, this is actually kind of weird because I think this is the first time that I'm actually looking at no one else from Geelong's midfield. Dangerfield and Selwood, I don't think are going to score enough to be relevant, and Dangerfield's not a forward. If he had that mid-forward, he'd definitely be worth talking about, but mid-only, no, and Selwood definitely not. Quinton Narkle should be getting more game time, and I think I'd love to pick him up in draft, but I'm a bigger Quinton Narkle fan than Chris Scott is, because I've seen him play good footy with good pace and clean skills, and he doesn't get a game. But There's something about Narkle, Guthrie, and Brendan Parfitt that is a well-rounded midfield, in my opinion. And when you've got Selwood, Dangerfield, Duncan, who can roll through there as well, as long as a couple others that I've missed out, that sounds good to me. But Narkle's on the outer, so I'm watching no one from their midfield. But the no chances, I've talked about them, and I'm actually putting Dangerfield and Selwood together. Why? Dangerfield's not going to get back to his Brownlow best. Selwood's gone as a Supercoach relevant player. And for those that have come here from Talking Hawks that think I'm bashing them because it's Geelong and that's fun, good luck to you. I'm really not here to bash the Cats. When it comes to Supercoach, I'll happily bash them if we beat them. That would be great. But in Supercoach terms, you've got to look at it as every team in the competition. So I'm not doing that. But is anyone starting Dangerfield? I mean, more people are going to than Selwood, but no, you're not going with either of them. So they're my no chances. And they don't really have a lot of cash cow options, but they did draft local boy Mitch Knevitt. I think for a reason, he's going to be a part of this new wave. So on paper, if the Cats are going to fall off that cliff, and a lot of people expect that they will, then he might come in late in the year to figure out what he's got. Definitely an option, but I wouldn't be putting a lot of eggs in the basket. But I really do like Mitch Knevitt. I think the Cats made a really shrewd draft move there, especially with Charlie Constable now gone. So we shall see, but there are better cash cows in the midfield available. So I know that he's not being talked about a lot, but Jonathan Ceglar I don't think is that Supercoach relevant this year because he's not like a ruckman who will go forward because they've got Tom Hawkins for that. So how much is he really going to improve that average? I'm not entirely sure it's going to be all that much, so I'd be staying away. And if you have Reece Stanley in your classic team, I will email you personally the league code for the Daz Talks Footy Supercoach team because I want you to be in that. Why are you starting him? It's not often that you get one of the most underrated players as a DPP, but a bona fide A-grade midfielder is there, and that's Mitch Duncan, the best pick for the forward line. He can average a lot higher than that, fully fit. I think his average was around 104 before he got knocked out in that Mitch Hannon tackle. So it's a no-brainer until you find out that he's injured, and until he does like an old man injury, why would you not start him? Mitch Duncan is a genuine star. And if he's not in your team, please comment below and tell me why. I'm not going to outwardly come out in the comments and go, you're wrong, or attack you or anything like that. I love seeing different people's opinions. This is one of those that I've got that I don't understand the other side of the argument. I don't understand why you wouldn't have him. So if you would like to inform me, please do so. That's what the comment section is for, so feel free to do that. But he's a walk-up start for me. So my golden rule when it comes to the forward line is don't have any tall forwards. There is one exception to that rule, and that's Tommy Hawkins. But I know he's getting better with age. But is the cliff coming? It's why he's on the watch list. Technically, he should be no chance. But when you're that good as a key tall, I mean, you got to stand up and take notice. He just finds different ways to scores, and given the fact that he's got the ruck dimension now, he's got pod written all over him. I think there are better options, but geez, he's going to come into consideration if he starts well. So I've got a bit of a weird opinion about Jeremy Cameron. I think he could actually be the best half-forward flank the game's ever seen. I don't think he is a full forward at all, and I know he's won a Coleman medal there, but with his athletic ability, the fact that he seems more comfortable on the run than he does with a set shot, I still think the Cats need a full forward, and I think that's why they're not going to win the flag. But Jeremy Cameron's also no chance on my side, because if he's not kicking goals, he's not scoring, because he's being used out of position for mine. So is he value? Up for debate. I would say no. If you think yes and you think he's an option, feel free to play him, but I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. And of course, like I said, Sam De Koning is the cash cow for the forward line, so I'm going to get straight into Daz's final word. And at this point in time, I've got Stewart and Duncan in my team, and I don't see either of them leaving at any point until they get long-term injuries. So what about you guys? Which Geelong players are you considering? Comment below, let me know. How do you think Geelong are going to go this year? That's what the comment section is for. Put that in there. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Gold Coast is coming on Wednesday. Take care. Be well, my friends. Goodbye.